Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Mid-South Wrestling Review Series for the 17th of, the 17th of July for 1982. And again, we run through quite a series of these. Hopefully you're enjoying the series. We have all that's available on the network through this, and we're going to eventually go back and find missing holes and gaps, hopefully, in the areas where we don't have them. For the most part, things you need to know. Ted DiBiase continues his descent into the heel ranks of professional wrestling, and the Junkyard Dog continues to be one of the guys who, for the most part, is a major force in the babyface side of the same Mid-South Wrestling. Anyway, we move forward into the middle of the summer, and the Grappler versus Buck Robley is where we open. Certainly not a, barn burner of a match. Again, Robley, not a guy that I see anything in, and actually why he was considered anything of a talent of note, I don't quite understand. Maybe because he was considered a tough guy, I don't really know. Anyway, really basic match, and Robley doesn't even really have gear. He's got wrestling shoes, but a t-shirt and black pants is his main gear. Anyway, side headlock by the Grappler. Grappler manages to hold on for quite a bit, and then he winds up in a headlock of his on the receiving end, that is. And for the most part, the next couple of minutes is just them exchanging holds. Finally, Robley, who has a little more power, drops a knee on a, unsuspecting, unaware, or unintelligent Grappler. Big body slam by the Grappler, tries to get the advantage the way he wants it, and he takes back over for the next couple of minutes. Irish whip, and again, back elbow by the Grappler as he begins to foray into the continuation of things, and we see hammerlocks and driving of the knee into the arm. Short knee lift by the Grappler. Grappler, for the most part, is the one highlighted in the match, although Ripley is holding his own with some maneuvers, more of a traditionalized wrestling style. Backbreaker by the Grappler, and Ripley comes back, punches and kicks, really basic brawling. I hate to be disparaging, but at the same time, I almost feel like I'm dealing with somebody who has very limited training. Grappler manages to run Robley into the top rope as a cutoff spot, and Robley manages to hit a kick and an elbow drop and get a victory on his way. Ted DiBiase and Buddy Landel is up next, and obviously DiBiase still your North American champion and the guy that just about everyone would like to see get knocked off in the area. The nature of everything is that now people are starting to understand that DiBiase is underhanded, and he was underhanded with the dog. The Junkyard Dog does have words about that this week on the television program, so about 3 weeks in between the win and Dog really saying anything about DiBiase, which kind of is so much different than the week-to-week BS talkfest that happened on WWE currently. Anyway, hip toss, and then we see an arm drag by DiBiase. DiBiase slows the match down as much as he can, tries to keep things going, including a sunset flip, attempted sit down, and DiBiase is flustered by the fact that he is not getting things going the way he wants them to go as quickly as he wants them to. You even see hands on the hips, just body posture that basically says, I'm surprised by the amount of difficulty I'm having with a guy like Buddy Landell. Landell, who continues to fire back, and at this point I would consider a babyface in the area, is doing quite well. Gets caught with a back elbow that actually misses, and he sells a little late. But DiBiase sends him into the buckle, and off we go into continuation. DiBiase ducks the head and gets kicked with the backdrop attempt, and Landell again back on the offense with drop kicks, and DiBiase bails out in a hurry and kind of slows the match down for a couple of minutes, just taking 10 or 20 seconds to get a break in the action, and a shot right to the top of the head. After it would appear he loaded the glove a little bit, and then we see the power slam followed by the figure four, and DiBiase is victorious yet again. We move to Iron Mike Sharp and Bill Ash. Ash, again, not really a major individual here in the area, but an enhancement talent who they've been using semi-regularly for the last little bit. And Iron Mike Sharp, again, probably I would consider him mid-card by this point, and kind of a guy who really, is good for a fill-in match, but not a guy who necessarily has to be a guy that's on every card, or you're going to expect to win any major championships. Of course, it's a far cry from where he is in the WWF a few years later, in a more positive direction for Sharp. Ash tries to go behind, tries to get some degree of wrestling acumen over his opponent, doesn't get where he wants to get, and Sharp powers his way out of attempted submission maneuvers and the like. Sharp with a shoulder tackle, and Ash kind of loses his balance a couple of times, thus selling Sharp as more powerful than most people would think. Sharp manages to hit a top wrist lock and hammer lock, and we even see Ash selling it a little bit, just shaking the arm off post the hold, and Sharp sends his opponent shoulder first into the buckle, and we see the backbreaker submission that Sharp normally gets, continuing to give him a victory here. Continuation of Sharp's push in the area, and it's well done. Killer Khan and One Man Gang versus Vinny, Romeo, and Coco Samoa. Obviously, these two men, managed by the wonders of Skandor Akbar, and we can easily see that this team is, although maybe getting some tag title shots on the road, not really talked about in that way on television. Gang continues to be a wrecking force and uses power early. Khan with kicks, punches, chops, and the like. Coco Samoa on the outside with Romeo, or Romo, managing to get mauled for the beginning part of this contest. Tag off several times between the heels. Romo trying to make his way to his partner, and finally does after crawling through the legs of Khan, although Coco Samoa does not have too much of a advantage. However, he does hit a drop kick and a couple of things before getting cut off by Khan, and then knee drop by Khan for the victory. Heels still looking strong, and obviously being a part of Akbar's stable works for many of the people that are in the stable. And again, kind of one of those things where you're building the nature of the stable itself. Bob Roop and Mr. Olympia for the Mississippi Championship is up next, and obviously Olympia with the Mississippi title has been a major story over the last year plus. I don't know that we've seen him lose it. He probably has, but not something I actively remember. Referee showing the Mississippi Championship. I will say I like the championships in that time better. They are smaller and they actually look like, a boxing title or a martial arts title as opposed to the big gaudy things meant for the shop zone today. The nature of Olympia kicking Roop off, who tries to use a figure four early, is pretty easy to see. Both guys block a hip toss attempt, and Olympia goes into the backslide pretty simply. Wrist lock, and then attempted arm bars here, and Irish whip in the back elbow by Roop early. And we'll see what we can see as far as him getting an advantage for the next little while. Drops the knee, and even on the network, this video cuts out a little bit. So upon occasion, we miss a couple of spots here and there. Overall, for footage that's nearly 38 years old, it's in fantastic condition. Roop manages to get a momentary advantage before Olympia slides down his back, getting a near fall in the process. And then we see him slide over, gets a sunset flip and a tope dive to the outside, oddly enough, here in 1982. Pretty amazing for Mr. Olympia to be hitting a dive, and it made sense because Roop was trying to run away, and that was a reason for the dive. It wasn't because it looked cool. It was because a heated babyface who was already angry dove out to extract some degree of damage on a guy who had been cheating and being underhanded before. High knee by Roop, and again, Roop manages to go for near fall, does not get the victory, but he looks competitive up to this point in the match. The nature of the contest continues. Ernie Ladd and Junkyard Dog might very well have preferred that Roop keep a hold of the championship with the way DiBiase has been behaving elsewhere, but that is not the case. Roop trying to get back to his nature, and the separation with DiBiase is kind of confusing because it's not really addressed quite well in the program. So that's not to say that old school wrestling didn't make mistakes. Meanwhile, the Mr. Olympia hooks on the sleeper hold, although Roop comes out with a suplex, and Roop tries a sleeper hold of his own. Olympia falls prey to it a couple of times before doing a double leg kickoff spot up and over and around back to the sleeper by Olympia. And again, there is a heck of an exchange here. The fighting out of the sleeper hold is pretty intense looking, and eventually the sleeper does win out, and Mr. Olympia maintained the Mississippi Championship. Awesomely done, and worth checking out. Match worth going out of your way to see. Mike Bond against Hacksaw Duggan. Duggan really doesn't have a full-on feud yet, although he also doesn't have a hairstyle that he seems to be able to manage in this particular match. Duggan manages to use his power and aggression early, drives his man around, controls him in the ring, hip tosses him out of the corner, and is pretty clear that we see some, roundabouts and the like. And then we see a reverse chinlock, and Bond tries to fight his way out pretty aggressively, doesn't get where he wants to get, but tries aggressively enough that fans watching for the first time might think he actually has a shot of winning. Of course, those of us who watch wrestling for a long time know what squash matches are, but the average fan may not. And Duggan hits a knee drop of the running variety, misses an elbow drop in the middle, giving a hope spot to the babyface for a minute, and Bond hits a couple of offensive maneuvers before getting raked to the eye. Shoulder tackle, almost like a leaping spear by Duggan, and then he hits an Oklahoma Stampede type slam to gain the victory here. We move to the last match on the program, which is, I believe, a tag team affair with, the Assassin and Hangman Harris versus two enhancement talents. Or actually, no. Ernie Ladd and the Junkyard Dog. For some reason, I thought it was enhancement, but I think that's further down the road in my watching journey. But anyhow, not going to be a lot here, as they only have about 5 minutes remaining in the program, and a promo at the end of the program as well. So the Assassin starts with the Junkyard Dog. Basic there, Dog gets a little bit of advantage with power, although doesn't overpower his opponent a heck of a lot. Ladd doesn't come in quite yet, but there is a tag after Harris becomes the legal man, and the Assassin bails out. Ladd hits a few moves before tagging the Dog back in. Dog is the one that's meant to shine here, and all four guys break down into chaos. Dog is taken out by DiBiase on the outside. Illegally, DiBiase begging for him to get up, and DiBiase the one to start the issue, as Ladd is cleaning house on the inside of the ring. DiBiase comes down and causes trouble. Dog does retaliate, and DiBiase makes his way into the ring, hitting the Dog with a chair across the back, and the chair goes flying when Ernie Ladd nails DiBiase. Meanwhile, the loaded boot deal of the grappler, who is for some reason wearing a yellow mask, is here, and the grappler misses a drop kick, gets held back. The Assassin is here. He gets brought back into the ring by the Dog, and we have complete chaos. Ernie Ladd and the Dog look like $1 million, though, because they are brawling and clearing the ring, even after multiple interferences and the like. Big body slam, and again, 1, 2, 3. Dog pins the grappler, who I don't even think was legally in the match. Anyway, we close with a promo from the Dog and Ernie Ladd, who basically call Teddy DiBiase a dirty, rotten scoundrel who they want to get revenge on, and he can no longer be trusted. We will move through into the end of July, and we hope that you continue to join us for the action.